We're done with deliberations. We're done with deliberations of the observations. And those will be captured as best as we can. We also did earlier on, and maybe if we didn't, we will request now that because we're all online and computer literate, you'd assist if the points that you made and you feel strongly about, if you could also just send us those little bits electronically, because it'll help us to try and edit and coordinate. Besides the non-negotiables, which are the section-specific references. But as you've made your inputs, if you give it to us, it also assists us. Cindy, I think, is trying to edit as best she can, online or real-time. But there were some that if you could reduce them into some sort of electronic version, it also assists us in our own preparations or compiling of the documents. If that can be done, I mean, those that have them electronically, you can start sending them right away if you do, and we will try and put them together. Honourable members, we then must move to, I'm trying to find the page number. Again, I think what we would do, and I have it, so I'll find it now. I'm not sure, we did indicate that we're going to, in this round, with as much speed but without compromising the quality, because this section is the section that all of us will have to defend once it's adopted. I think it needs far more attention, far more patience, and far more clarity. Once again, just to reiterate that, of course, members will argue their positions, whatever the position might be, on recommendation 1 up to recommendation, whatever it is. We'll listen to them, we'll try and do what we did yesterday, get clarity. If we are very far apart, we will then park them and, of course, finalize them tomorrow. But with those that we can conclude today in terms of coming together, all the better. So that is it, honourable members, and also for those that are observing proceedings, whatever is said today is not the position of the committee. I think it'll be various positions, even if we have reached consensus, because it only becomes the position of the committee once we adopt it, and hopefully we will do so on the 24th, after 2 o'clock. Van Dam, your time is still 2 o'clock, is it? Yeah. For the sake of logistics, we will try and book out from 2 o'clock until 6 o'clock for us to process on Tuesday. Cindy, if we could do that. But you will get the normal notifications, but it will be probably from 2 until 6. So please don't feel restricted in any way in terms of the points that you want to make. We will convince each other, and where we can't reach consensus today, we'll have another bite at it tomorrow on Tuesday. But whatever comes out today, we of course will capture and try and reflect in the reports that you will get. Our own practice, and I suspect we will continue it, is that members will get a copy from ourselves by 5 o'clock on Monday. By 5 o'clock on Monday, we will give you draft 2, which members will then have to go and workshop wherever you workshop it, because on Wednesday, I beg your pardon, on Tuesday, we'll have to hammer out a position one way or the other. So we will attempt to get them out to you by 5 o'clock on Monday. And on Tuesday, we will consider them after 2 o'clock, and hopefully by Wednesday, we will be able to, if all things go well, by Wednesday, we'll be able to release them for comment to those that would wish to comment. Give those that wish to comment between Tuesday and the 9th of February, by which time we will close any submissions for comment, because we would need that time to then at least reduce those comments into writing for yourselves. Send that out to you as well, and you then look at our report plus the comments, and we'll argue on the 14th whether we want to take those comments and assimilate them into our report, or whether we don't think it is necessary because we've covered it, or we don't agree with it, because at the end of the day, it is our report as MPs, but opportunity is forwarded to those that want to comment. So that's going to be the process very optimistically. We know that things change and are dynamic, but we're hoping to be done by the 15th, I beg your pardon, by the end of business on Tuesday, and those that would want to comment will then be able to comment. Exactly how we will make the document available, I'm hoping the legal team will give us some advice so that we are not accused of making it available yet it's not available. And exactly whose comments are we going to accept? Because I suspect the whole of South Africa will want to comment on it, but the question is, whose comments do we consider? But all that will be clarified as we release the report on the 24th. So having said that, honourable members, page 32 is the recommendations. I beg your pardon, let's take Mr. Singh.
Yeah, Chair, thank you very much. Just on the dates, I was just looking at the tablings for Cindy. They've got Tuesday's meeting from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock. So maybe you have to get that corrected in the things they send us. And then on the 14th, I think one of the dates we had planned was 14th and 15th. 14th might be a bit of a challenge, well, for myself, because that's when all parties and party leaders are responding to the president. Yeah, morning's fine. Yeah, but not the afternoon, if we had thought about the afternoon. Even 15th, the responses will continue. So it has to be in the morning. Thanks.
Right. No, thanks, that's very helpful. So on those 2 days, the 14th and the 15th, we'll schedule morning sessions from 9 until 1 o'clock. So if you are participating in the debate later on, there is no excuse that I can't make it because I'm in the debate. We will need a quorum when we adopt the report. So if you're going to prepare for that afternoon, please be prepared prior to the meeting so that we do not deplete the numbers in terms of having a quorum, especially on the 15th. Especially on the 15th when we are hoping to adopt a committee position, ad hoc committee position. Having said that, honourable members, let's... I wanted to check, and I know we took a decision that we're going to go as comprehensively as possible. So in other words, my understanding is if you went to page 32, for instance, we'll ask the question, is there any changes to point number 1, point number 2, point number 3? When I say number 3, I'm saying 14.13, 14.14, 14.15. We will talk to that. We'll then ask for additions, if there are any additions, or deletions, if there are any deletions. Is that how we all understand the process, or do you want to do the entire 14 line by line, clause by clause? And then when we do clause by clause, we will just recognize those that want to speak to that clause. It's not going to be automatic that everybody wants to speak to it. So we'll do clause 1, and then clause 2, then clause 3, clause 4, clause 5, up to clause 10, or whatever, yeah, clause 10, as it stands. then we will make additions on the basis of maybe input that we've got now or whatever the case might be. That's our understanding. Swartz, you seem not, you happy? All right. And again, once again, I mean, if things don't work out as we go on, we will be flexible as we go along, because this is uncharted grounds in that we don't have the additions before us. Let's go to page 32, honorable members, and everybody on 32 should have the heading 14, recommendations 14.1 board meeting. That's the one we have, isn't it? All right. As is, in other words, without any of the amendments there, 14.1, does anybody want to comment on it? Singh, Van Dam, Swartz, and then Killian, in that order. And can we also, oh, everybody wants to speak, but because we're all speaking on it, can we agree on a time that we speak per clause? 1 minute? 1 minute per clause. Is that okay? Okay, all right. Can I just, sorry, did you note the hands? Yeah. All right. We had noted Singh, followed by Van Dam, followed by Swartz, followed by Killian. Anybody else on clause 1? Just clause 1. And then Mukwena.
Thank you very much, Chair.
No, are you raising your hand? Yes. Okay. Okay. Honorable Swartz.
I'm in blue today.
Yeah, you blue today.
I made sure it were.
Honorable Singh, close 14.1.1.
Yeah, Chairperson. Yeah, I just want to know here, I mean, is there a board? I'm asking a question. There is no board, so what are we there to dissolve? So that's the point. And it's linked to 14.1.5 as well.
14.1.1 is removed totally. Agreed? And Mr. Singh is proposing that 14.1.5. 14.1.5. 14.1.5. He is suggesting that we treat it the same way as we treated 14.1.1. No, if not, it's fine. That will be Swartz's position. He's withdrawing. So 14.1.1 we remove. Agreed? All right. Anybody wants to talk to 14.1.2?
Chair, 14.1.1 still.
Oh, I thought we said we all agreed on 14.1.1. Let's remove.
It's an addition, because surely at this stage you've got to recommend the urgent appointment of the interim board.
No,
No, but this is what.
no, but hold on.
You are now speaking.
Hold on, honorable members.
So I was going to
No, hold
suggest
on,
the
hold on.
addition of that.
No, hold on. I thought we agreed we'll go to them as they are. And if in removing it you think that it must be replaced by something new, you'll add that something new. Isn't that how we're going to do it? Or are we saying, or otherwise let's recognize anybody, okay, we'll take it in the same order. And if you're covered by what the previous speaker said, you'll just say I'm covered. Let's start again with Singh, 14.1.1.
Chair, thank you very much. Yeah, firstly, I'm saying that we should delete that because there is no board, but we should have, the 14.1.1 should start with the interim board. The appointment of the interim board must be expedited, what have you, and then 2 will follow what the board must do, whatever. First, we have to have the board appointed. Recommend that the board must be appointed through due process, whatever that due process is.
So the suggestion from Mr. Singh is that we replace 14.1.1 with saying that an interim board must be appointed urgently, following due process, whatever the case might be. So that is the suggestion from Mr. Singh. I had, after Mr. Singh, noted Van Dam on 14.1.1. Covered. Thank you so much. Swartz on 14.1.1, covered. Killian on 14.1.1. Mukwena on 14.1.1.
No, Chair, I would just add that we must recommend that there must be a time frame within which that interim board must operate, because this thing of having a perpetual interim board is also problematic. That's my only addition. Thanks.
As we go along, I see people raising hands because you oppose or whatever, but we'll give you another chance to comment on that one. All that Mukwena is suggesting is that we're going to say an interim board must be established, and he's suggesting we put a time frame. And what is your time frame, sir?
No, I'm not saying that we must put a time frame. I'm saying the committee must set a time frame.
The act stipulates it.
The
6 months.
the portfolio committee must set a.
To say, as a matter of urgency.
No, no, it's fine. Let him say what he wants to say. If you guys want to fine-tune it, you'll fine-tune it.
Yeah.
Mokwena is saying it's not good enough just to put the fact that we think there must be an interim board. We should try and factor in a time frame. And as members speak, if you think this is who must do it or this is how it must done, you'll add to it. After Mokwena was Honorable Khoza, followed by Honorable Kubisa on 1411.
Chair, I agree that we move that interim board to as the first one. But I also wanted to say we need to qualify it. I agree with Mokwena that we need the time frames, but we also need to qualify the kind of individuals that we need, notwithstanding what is contained in the Act. But I do believe that it's going to be absolutely critical to mention that the people who should serve in this particular board, over and above the skills that they possess, they must be of high moral standing.
All right, let's institute we're recommending the establishment of a board with time frames and with high moral standings is where we stand right now. We'll come back to you, After Khoza was Kubisa.
Chair, I'm covered. I wanted to say it must be expunged from the list.
Okay. As things stand now, board time frames, and they must be of high moral standards. Comments on those? I had noted comments just on that. Everybody wants to comment on it. Oh, why don't we leave it as it is, and when we get the report on Tuesday, you'll add to it. Otherwise, it will be. Is that okay? Because I'm saying in principle we agree with it. You'll just want to put emphasis on different points. I beg your pardon?
I hear what Dr. Khoza says about high moral standards, but I think here we need to also emphasize the fact that they shouldn't have political affiliations. It's very important. So you can have a high moral standard, but you could also be influenced politically. Do you know what I'm saying? So yes.
No,
And
honourable
it comes-
members.
and
Before we
maybe-
even continue.
Yeah.
I'll allow you, but I just
Okay.
want to set the principle. Honourable members, can we agree that even if I disagree with what anybody is saying, I'll raise my hand and I'll have an opportunity, because remember, this is the first bite. We'll have another bite. I'm just saying let's not degenerate to a point where we start fighting amongst each other. I can disagree with you and we'll have a bite to do it. So I had, Kubiso was finished, we'll start with you. You're saying high moral standards, non-political affiliated.
And then I wanted to use the quote "fit for purpose." We in section under observations 13.1 we have fitness of the board, and so I think we should be saying fit for purpose. People who would well, I have to justify, but people who would make sure that the law is adhered to and would not be influenced by a political agenda at the SABC.
No. I'm trying to note hands. So it will be followed by Loliwe, it will be followed by Van Dam, it will be followed, allemaal wil praat. Swarts, Van Dam, Swarts. Everybody now wants to talk twice. No, I know. No, I'm just making notes for myself. Let's start again. Because when we started, we said everybody will have 1 bite, 1 minute. That's what we said when we started. And it's this inconsistency that causes problems for us. So we'll allow because we've stabilized everything and you were disadvantaged, sir. No, it was, let's just go through the rounds as we had them earlier on. It was initially Singh, and who followed Singh? It was Singh, it was Van Dam. Remember, it's one bite, 1 minute maximum. Swart, Killian, Mukwena, Koza. Everybody wants to speak. Kubisa? After Kubisa, does anybody else want to have a bite on 411? No, I was reading, so you want to get in there, all right? Chauke. No, do you want to speak, yes or no? No, on this one? Yes. Yeah, it's fine. Chauke and then Mahlangu. And Loliwe was going to be the next. Then Loliwe, is that fine? If I put, I'm sorry about that. Loliwe, what we are saying, honorable members, is one bite, maximum 1 minute, because remember we're going to revisit this thing again on Monday. Is that okay? All right. Starting with Singh, your minute starts now, sir.
Thank you, Chairperson. My bite relates to the comments on the qualifying criteria. I don't have the act in front of me and I don't know what process is followed when one appoints an interim board, but maybe if we can be furnished with that information by some colleagues. I don't think it's necessary for us to state particular qualities and things like that. That will be in the act and it's not for us to do that. That's my view, but I'll listen to the others about that. Thank you.
Okay. Fanda?
Thanks, Chair. The appointments, the qualities that a person who serves on the SABC board, that person must have, those people must have, is in the Broadcasting Act. But if we decide we want to add things over and above that, I mean, high moral standing is a good idea, but I mean, morality is different for different people. It isn't like one gold standard of what morality is. People have different standards of what's moral and what isn't. I'd like to bolster Mr. Honourable Waters' point about no political affiliation. Let's call a spade a spade. A lot of the problems that have happened here is because people went into the SABC board driving their own and political agendas. We agreed as a committee that there was indeed people on the board driving political agendas. The former chairperson of the board, Honourable Chabalala, Mrs. Chabalala, said she received her nomination from Luthuli House. She didn't even want to serve, she didn't nominate herself, but it came from the office of a political party. So if we say no political affiliation, no one with political affiliation from the ANC, from the DA, from any party, no one who's had membership of any political party in recent history.
All right. No, we've noted you, Kosa. We've noted you. It is Swartz, Killian, Mukwena, Kosa, Kubisa, Chauke, Mahlangu, and Loliwe in that order. You've got 1 minute, Honourable Swartz.
Chair, I like the issue of high moral standing. I also understand the issue of political affiliation, but it might limit the number of qualified members we can appoint. The issue is set out in section 13, where it sets out the legislative qualifications. I'm not sure to what degree we can add to those legislative. We can say it's desirable, and that would be a question when those interviews are conducted of high moral standing, political affiliation, but at the moment it's not contained in the Act, which determines the members of the board. But it sets out there the virtue of qualifications, expertise, experience, broadcasting regulation, and that should have been applied when we appointed the previous board. Now, it wasn't. So that is the challenge. To what degree can we add in this to new qualifications? We've got to make sure that we comply, that the Communications Portfolio Committee complies with the existing legislation when they apply for the interim board and, of course, the final board. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Now, we're not even going to entertain any other discussion, otherwise we're rewriting the law. What we will say is that the board must be appointed urgently, time frames, and the minimum qualification is the Act. Because anything else we do beyond that is we're changing the law. Is that all right? Because we are all members of Parliament, and we'll all have a chance to reject it in the House if we need to. I don't think we should be rewriting the laws here. So I think the point we were making is, no, I note, but let me finish speaking first. I am saying, honourable members, that if we say the board must be appointed, it must be appointed according to the law. We will then, in our shortlisting and so on, go and look for minimum requirements, the law, and anything else. But I don't think we can be saying here the person must be, I don't know, green or blue or morally high or whatever. That should be the role of Parliament. Let us not be the super committee. Because we can't prescribe to those that are the appointing authority what to do. Can we settle for that, for now? Let's do it according to the law. I see that Khoza and Mr. Waters want to speak. I'll just allow the two of them to speak.
Chair, I am prepared to compromise high moral standing. However, I think for the record, political affiliation must not be confused with, having no high morals. And secondly, Chair, if we are going to be putting things such as, being excluded on the grounds of your political affiliation or whatever, that is exclusionary and that is inconsistent with the Constitution of the Republic. And I do believe that out of the 11 million people that vote for the ANC, there are so many good men and women who are proudly ANC, but they will stand for the right thing. Thank you.
That is why I'm going to only allow Waters. I'm not going to open it up after that, because I thought the mature thing to do is to say there's a law, comply with the law.
Chair,
No, that's why I'm saying you'll be the last one and we'll take the decision. Mr. Waters, yes, sir.
Chair, firstly, I want to agree with Dr. Khoza that the fact is if you have a political affiliation doesn't mean we don't, like all of us here, don't have high morals, right? So I just want to make that point. I never suggested that. But what I do want to emphasize is that we're not rewriting the law. I think we have to emphasize a particular aspect, because what has happened over years and years of the appointment of the SABC board is cadre deployment. People have been sent there, and you can say what you like, anybody, but people have been sent there to fulfill a particular agenda, which has over time done so much internal damage to the SABC. That's why we're sitting here today, because it's facing a crisis because of political appointments to the board. And I think that point needs to be stressed.
The minister even said in the House, if you want to join the SABC board, you must sit on the ANC side.
Now, honourable members, don't shout. Don't shout. Don't shout, honourable members. We'll vote on every bullet point if we operate in this fashion, and that's my fear. We will begin to divide each other around political lines, and we could do that, but I think that will discredit everything we've done so far. Let me explain what I'm saying, and I'm not disagreeing with Khoza or anybody else. Surely ours should be that the minimum standards must apply. We are all MPs. We all are responsible for the shortlisting. All of us. Maybe not Mr. Swartz in his personal capacity, but as we've said, every member can come and contribute here. Can we not be comfortable by saying it must be credible, which is what we expect from honourable members? Apply by the law, it must be credible. I don't think that there's any South African out there that hasn't learned the lesson of the shortcomings of the SABC, because in some way Parliament didn't do what it was supposed to do. I think we've learned it as we're sitting here, and others have learned it. I just don't want this committee to be the super committee that becomes the moral conscience of everybody. I don't want it to be that. So can we say new board, ASAP? No, I'm saying, yeah, when I say interim board, whatever the case, we'll put interim board, ASAP, comply with existing legislation. Because existing legislation covers all these things we're talking about. Be it the Constitution, be it everything else. It says it must be somebody that is credible. So when you pick one law, you would be excluding the other law. If we say with existing laws, surely the Constitution says, apply your mind, it must be somebody credible. I'm saying this one shouldn't be a debating matter. Let's appoint people consistent with the law. Is that okay? Thank you. So we will then put in 1.1 that it must be done. We haven't put time frames. We said in time frames, somebody will put the time frames. I thought that was what we said. So we're saying the interim board must be established as expeditiously and compliance with the law. Fine. That's the point that I'm making here. Yes, that's fine. In adherence with the law, and I'm sure those that are tasked with doing the work will be honorable and do whatever is being done. 4.11. All right, if you still want to carry on, I thought I was trying to close it, then okay, it's fine. Swartz, you still want to say, because Swartz was the next one. After I've summarized it, to add, sir. Swartz. 4, I beg your pardon, 14.11. I thought I'd summarize what we were saying, but do you want to add to it? No. Killian, do you want to add to what I've said?
Chairperson, yes, the board can only function for 6 months, but I think we could stipulate within 90 days because the process has already started, and I think we should, if the National Assembly wants to amend it for some other reason, we could do that. But I think we should indicate the urgency. There is no provision in the Act for how soon after the dissolution of the board. So I think we should just add that.
All right. So what are you saying? 90 days from adoption of the report. You see, Honourable Member, at the outermost, because remember this report of ours is not formal or binding until it goes in the House. And that is why I'm saying, let us not usurp the responsibilities of the House. I think Singh's point of expeditiously is understood by everybody. When we start qualifying, I just think that we're going to become a super body and we're going to usurp the responsibilities of the National Assembly, and it's dangerous to do that. So let me repeat. An interim board must be established expeditiously, and it must be done in compliance of existing laws. Acceptable? Right?
In compliance with the Broadcasting Act.
Well, existing legislation. And it's all legislation because the Constitution comes into place, Broadcasting Act, all those things coming into place. It's all encompassing. You don't want that.
It's fine, Chairperson, but I think we should emphasize the fact that there is a specific law that deals with it and that makes provision for the establishment of an interim board.
Chair, sorry, on a question of law, Chair, I think we're making a mistake.
All right.
The provision in section 13 applies to the final board with all those qualifications. So the interim board has got, you can appoint any person to the interim board. So we should say it should be guided by section 13 of the board, which sets out the qualifications.
Is that acceptable to members?
That's all, straightforward.
Interim board, time frames, guided by section 13.
And other applicable laws. So then you cover everything, but that's the main one, is section 13 that applies to the final board. I'll give you the wording.
No, it's fine. No, we're not going to get the wording. We'll point them in the direction because we're not going to do the pointing.
Okay.
Agreed? Right. 14.12. Any takers? Mokoena. I'll just note you, it's Mokoena, it is Waters, it is Kubisa, it is Singh, it is Van Dam, it is Swartz, and then it is Chauke. Maximum 1 minute, 1 bite. Mukwena.
No, Chair, I just thought following directly after the appointment of the interim board, I think we must also stress the issue of the training of the board so that they understand the legislative environment, that they understand their responsibilities and duties and so on and so forth. So I'm suggesting that that should be 4.1.2, right? And then on the issue of instituting an...
No, let's just stick there. You're adding another one that says the board must be adequately trained.
Yes.
Anybody got an objection with that? Adequately trained, we can't have an objection with that.
Chair, I think that aspect is covered. It is a given that every board that gets appointed must be inducted. And induction is training, and it's something that must happen continuously. I think the Companies Act and the King 3 dictates those arrangements.
No, Chair, then I think this, because it hasn't been instituted the problem, the reason why we're sitting here is because this board was not trained. They didn't understand what they were supposed to do. So what we should be suggesting is that, you know, we must train them.
I think the way we're going to manage this thing is there's a proposal that says add another, I don't know what we call these things, clauses or whatever, which indicates, which in paragraph or whatever it's called, which emphasizes adequate training. That's the proposal on the table. I'm only going to take those that oppose it, because those that support it don't have to re-emphasize it. Is there anybody that opposes adding a paragraph, a line that says the interim board must be inducted? Mukwena, would you stick by trained? That's the proposal on the table, trained.
No, as long as they know what they're doing.
Yes, okay. All right. The new proposal on the table is that the board must be inducted or... Properly inducted. Yeah. That is the proposal on the table. Any opposition to that proposal? Opposition. Not emphasis, because you'll have an opportunity to emphasize it when you've got the document. Any opposing view to adding that line? Ma'am Koza.
I just wanted to check from fellow members. Do we realize that the interim board will be going into a very abnormal environment? And I would imagine that we need to pronounce ourselves in terms of getting in there and just bring about some kind of normalcy to that environment. I'm not sure if we actually understand that this is not going to be a normal environment that they are going to be walking into, and there has to be something that, as this committee, are saying to that effect. I don't know, I'm just...
What we're going to do is we're going to put that paragraph in. We have 4 or 5 days to think about it after, not 4 or 5 days, after Monday we'll think about it, on Tuesday you'll get it on Monday, on Tuesday you'll finalize it. Because I'm saying these are the views that are both legitimate, we might not agree with them. We will have a board, there will be a second paragraph that says they must be adequately or they must be inducted. When we meet on Tuesday, those that don't want the inducted part in it will express their views. Is that okay? Thank you. Okay, so then we go to 412 as it stands now, because remember we didn't go to 412. Does anybody want to talk to 412? On 412, yeah, we've got the list for 412. Yeah, we're going to get with an addition, come with it afterwards, so it's more. On 412 as it is.
I think because we don't speak of a forensic audit, a general forensic audit. No, because I think we're too specific on. So I think it must go in there as well, that they must institute a forensic investigation and yeah, disciplinary whatever measures or legal action.
So the only thing we need to add is the word forensic before audit, because we talk about appropriate steps further down towards the end of that sentence. We'll just add, may institute a forensic investigation into all those things we're talking about, and it covers. Waters, you are the next one to speak, sir, on 412 as it stands.
Thank you, Chair. To do with the forensic audit, we're stipulating here, well, first of all, it should be a forensic audit, an independent forensic audit, first of all. That's very important. By a reputable company, not some fly-by-night company as well. I don't know how we put that in there, but it's got, a reputable company. That's good. Right, now, we're saying here, irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure, but would a forensic audit, by the nature of the term, include everything, or is it just limited to fruitless, wasteful, and irregular expenditure? Because if it is limited, then we've got to include all financial transactions. We have to. We have to open it up simply because there's such a deep rot at the SABC. We've got to root it out, and we've got to get to the bottom of it. So if we're going to do something, we may as well do it properly. We've got to look at all the tender procurements, appointments and dismissals. So when I'm talking about a forensic audit, an independent forensic audit, it's got to cover everything. And I know it's a mammoth task, it's a massive institution, but it's got to be done. So that's the first thing. Then, where it says in the third line, well, let me carry on reading. And on conclusion of such investigation, appropriate steps must be taken against employees. But what about ex-employees that are found guilty? That have been involved in corruption. So that must be included there. And then it says who incurred or permitted irregular, fruitless, or wasteful expenditure. Then we must just, whatever we do at the beginning of the paragraph, must then be repeated at the back. But if you didn't incur any fruitless expenditure, or you didn't permit it to happen, but you influence people to do it, should we not be saying, or influence people? Because I think a lot of it was cloak and dagger stuff that was going on at the SABC, where certain people protected themselves by using other people to commit corruption at the SABC. So I would, and maybe the legal people can come in here, because I'm certainly not an auditor, but I would like to see who incurred, permitted, or influenced, any forms of corruption at the SABC. Thank you, Chair.
All right. We'll allow other members. Let me just remind members that, first of all, our recommendations must be something that will gain credence in the National Assembly ultimately, because that's where it's going to be adopted. And I'm not saying it's not going to be adopted, what we're saying, but secondly, it must be achievable. We might want to have a very solid intention, but it's not achievable. Those cleverer than us in the National Assembly will say, that's very good, but to do a forensic, and I'm not saying it's you, I'm just using it as an example, to do a forensic audit of all these things within 6 months is just not practical. That's why I'm saying let us just be practical, but I'm not saying it's wrong. We'll have a bite on Tuesday and we'll have a bite at the National Assembly. All I'm saying is let us just put stuff that is achievable from our own side. So we'll add what Mr. Waters has suggested, independent by a reputable company, and employees must be all encompassing, or all incumbent, and it must be expanded more than just fruitless, wasteful, and irregular, but it must include HR and other finances. I think that's what you were saying. Kubise?
Yeah, okay. I wanted to say, this clause pertains to employees, but it doesn't cover members of the board who may advertently or inadvertently have had influenced employees to engage in irregular and fruitless or wasteful expenditure. Now, we need to take that into cognizance as well, because there may be previous members of the board who are implicated in the whole thing. And I want to also concur with you that we must also take into consideration the issue of time. We are talking about a 6 months, so to say, interim board. Yet the job that they're going to do might be a mammoth one. So recommending time may not be, I mean, they can't do all these things. So those are the issues we must take into cognizance. But I wanted to bring in the issue of the ex-board members who might have had an influence or might have also been implicated in the whole thing.
Honorable Singh, your minute starts now.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Chair, I think we must make some reference to the powers of the board, this interim board. They will derive from the Act, but maybe in the first sentence where we say a board should be appointed expeditiously, such powers to derive from the Act, because the board has to have powers. Then I think the whole idea of this here is for this interim board to initiate processes of forensic audit, etc. Processes related to the PP's findings, ICASA, and the AG. And that's what we need to list in some kind of order, because we haven't put anything about the PP here, the PP findings. So that's how I think we should be approaching this this particular section. But I'll come to the next point later.
So we're saying that interim board, it's about institute, not about finalizing. Auditor General, Public Protector, and ICASA. Right. Honorable Fanda.
Thanks, Chair. I'm largely covered. I just want to emphasize the point of it being a reputable company, because I heard some murmurings in the committee about us insisting that it be a reputable company. I think the SABC has a history of hiring companies that are less than quality, companies that have given them bad legal advice. We just spoke about that. So it's important that it's a reputable company whose findings will not be subject to question. Findings that we can trust because we know it's a reputable company. We know that they've done work before. It's been good work. So it's very important that it's a reputable company.
I have noted Mr. Swartz, and then followed by Chauke, followed by... No, you're only indicating now Chauke, then it will be Koza, then it would be Mathangu, and then the last hand that I've noted is that one of Killian. And we're going to move on to the next one. Swartz, your minute.
Chair, I think Mr. Singh has covered the issues. There's a lot in the Auditor General's report. There are already pending investigations. So in addition to this, the pending investigations must be finished. The interim board must ensure that they are complied with. One of which relates to the financial sustainability of the SABC. Now, surely before you go in after irregular expenditure, you've got to determine your financial sustainability of the entity at that time. So maybe later one can add in, but I'm satisfied with the clause there, but I do want us to put in something about the interim board looking urgently into the financial sustainability, the solvency of the SABC as a going entity. Thank you, Chair.
Chauke?
Thank you very much, Chair. This process of a forensic investigation, Chair, we need to divide it. That we need to identify what is agent, and then deal with what you call your normal a public finance, a management processes which deals with your fruitless, wasteful expenditure. Now, I'm going to propose, Chair, that what we must then do, and this had to be linked with the Public Protector's report, that we look at agent issues, especially that we can focus ourselves in, Chair, will be the issue of bonuses that came out very strong during the hearing. Secondly, is the issue of is bonuses and increments that they give themselves and all of that. And you then link that together with contracts. You remember that Shushu, the fact that there were certain contracts that were fraudulently not even processed via a supply chain. That report is very critical. The management report that Honorable Swart spoke about, it falls under your normal, which we can therefore, Chair, call the Auditor General, because Auditor General can do forensic too. You can invite Auditor General, invite National Treasury to focus on your fruitless, wasteful expenditure, and then have your private company that can do
Your
the
time is
following
up, sir.
areas. Thank you very much, Chair.
All right, we'll try and summarize later. We're making notes and see. And then after that, it was Koza.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to add, to enhance the point that was made by Honorable Waters. I wanted to qualify a reputable company in sync with national priorities and policies, because we cannot have reputable which will be exclusionary. Thank you.
Mahlangu?
Chair, thank you. I'll support the sentiments of the Dr. Koza that has been just indicated, but also indicate that what Honorable Chauke raised is important. Look, Treasury has been conducting audits in these institutions. They have presented reports. Those reports have not been implemented. Now, bringing a person from outside in a new board from outside is a mammoth task. My view, and that's what I had recommended, that the SAP board should ask Treasury and the AG to institute the investigation. AG is reputable. I mean, they do all our monies in the country and they participate, including in the UN. Because I find, without belaboring the matter, that was my recommendation, that Treasury and the AG should actually institute the investigation.
Honorable Killian?
Chairperson, actually, I'm covered by Honourable Mahlangu, but I just wanted to say that I believe we should differentiate and allow the interim board to focus on limiting further risks and financial losses. That would include illegal contracts. It would include, board decisions that were irregular, resulting in potential future risks, etc. I think we should just differentiate between immediately intervening to stabilize and thereafter, obviously the rest of the weaknesses that we've identified should be taken forward by the final board. But there's a period of 6 months. They must find their feet, they must just hit the ground running, and therefore they must just limit further risks and potential loss for the corporation. I would like to suggest that we focus on that. And then obviously the investigation, but I'm concerned, as it stands at present, Chair, we focus on the investigation without focusing on what Honourable Koza has said, that stabilization, the environment. So I would like to suggest that we rather start with that point, and I'm prepared to write a little line on that, specifically on clause 14.12.
Thank you. I think there's consensus in principle that there must be an audit of some sort. It must be done by a reputable company, which includes AG, Treasury. A reputable company, it's a reputable. If these are reputable, they are reputable, including AG. Mahlangu is saying, let's not say independent, reputable. He's saying, let's be specific to AG and Treasury. The one says, let's be specific in terms of bonuses and contract management so that it's short-term interventionist. The other says the investigation must be into HR, PP, and AG. Those are the two views. Can we put both of them there and we consider them afterwards? Because I'm saying those are the two views. In other words, the scope of the investigation, is the only thing that is uncontested here. But I mean, the quality of the investigator, I think is acceptable, that we're saying it must be reputable, independent, because AG is independent. AG will fit all those things you're talking about, by the way. So maybe not Treasury, but certainly AG would fit all those things. So we say, on one hand, we'll say independent, reputable, blah, blah, blah. Other one we'll say specific to the two, and we'll think about it over the weekend and come to a conclusion on Monday. Is that okay? Happiness? Yeah. All right. Steps must be taken to recover. I don't even think we must debate that. That's the law as it stands. That's the PFMA. So we move on that one. Yes? 413 is just complying with the PFMA because it's exactly from the PFMA. 413. 14, I keep on saying 4. 1413, anybody wants to talk to 1413? Let's note hands. 1413. Chauke, Van Dam, and Swartz, and Singh, and Mukwena. 1413. No new ones, just 1413. Does it stay? Do we enhance it? Do we remove it? Chauke.
Yeah, in fact, 1413, I'm not sure that if we were to deal with your regular fruitless and wasteful expenditure, as I've said earlier, that it's a normal process informed by PFMA. Therefore, it requires recovery because that's one of the 3 steps that you deal with when you deal with PFMA. It's investigation, and then it's your recovery, which is informed by PFMA. The 3rd one, obviously, is action that you take. So all of this, in fact, form part of 2. 1412 is the same as, because they're not separate. If you are to implement PFMA to the latter, it deals with the 3 areas of intervention. So if we stick with that, you can, in fact, leave 1413 out, because 1412, in fact, speaks detail around a fruitless and wasteful expenditure.
All right, Fenda.
Thanks, Chair. Now, those sections I was yammering on about come into action now. Section 83 of the PFMA reads as follows. The accounting authority for a public entity commits an act of financial misconduct if that accounting authority willfully or negligently fails to comply with the requirements of Section 50, 51, 52, 53, or 55. Section 51 of the PFMA says, under general responsibilities of an accounting authority, the accounting authority must take effective and appropriate steps to prevent irregular expenditure, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, losses resulting from criminal conduct, etc. So if we look at the wasteful expenditure that has happened at the SABC over a long number of years, the accounting authorities failed to discharge of their duties in terms of Section 51 to prevent wasteful expenditure and therefore committed financial misconduct. Furthermore, the Act says,
Got 30 seconds now.
okay, offences and penalties for financial misconduct is criminal charges. So we should say there that anyone found guilty of allowing fruitless, wasteful expenditure must have criminal charges laid against them.
I'm trying to help us there. I think what we are saying, Van Dam, in different language, but if you want to emphasize it, you can emphasize it. If we said in terms of these things, the PFMA must be complied with, it'll answer all our questions, because the PFMA states what it is that must be done. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying, because what you are saying is no different to the PFMA, quite frankly. The PFMA says recover, do all those things, and also the accounting authority is liable if you go to Section 55 or something in terms of so I'm saying it's stipulated in the Act. So if we said implement the PFMA with relation to these 3 things that we said there, it should be sufficient. And what we can do later is to say there must be monitoring by SCOPA and the public and the portfolio committee or anything else. That's all I'm saying, because when we become prescriptive here and it's adopted, people might turn around and say, you only said I must do A, B, C, D, which might not be all-inclusive, or it might be in contravention of another law. Unless we are very clear what those laws are saying. So I'm just saying, let us be practical about it. PFMA is the supreme law in terms of oversight, and if we said, implement the PFMA to the letter, I think it should cover your concerns. It doesn't dilute what you're saying, but it's as far as we can go as this committee to say implement the PFMA when it comes to these matters. That's all that I'm saying, but Van Dam, I mean, I'm not arguing. We'll put your point in. We'll put your point in and we'll argue them. I'm just trying to guide us when we get to Tuesday's meeting. I beg your pardon? No, oh, that's what I'm saying. I'm looking at Madam Van Dam because I don't want to get into a dialogue. I'm just trying to guide us for the first one so that you take it forward. Van Dam, do you want to say something very briefly and then we're going to go to Swartz?
I'm
Very
happy
brief.
if we say the prescripts of the PFMA, because we've been specific about sections before. Can we then be specific about which sections apply to accounting authorities, specifically of public entities? Because earlier on, we were very, very specific. Let's be specific in the recommendations too. Thanks, Chair.
Absolutely. You'll assist us in saying application of the PFMA with specific reference to section 38, 1C and 38, or read together with section 65, something or the other. I'm not sure what that is. Swart?
Swart to the
Chair,
blue
I'm in
notice. That's
agreement
right.
with your sentiments, but when you refer to the PFMA Act in saying the interim board must comply with those, I would like us to emphasize the fact of the possible institution of criminal action for breaches of the PFMA Act, the Companies Act, and any other applicable legislation. It's not saying they must do it, but you can comply with the PFMA Act without instituting criminal action if necessary. We need to say, and we do say to a certain degree by taking appropriate steps, but appropriate steps can be disciplinary action. You just institute, but there's clear breaches of fiduciary duties in terms of the Companies Act as well. So it's a very brief, I agree with you what you said, Your William, but just to add, PFMA Act, Companies Act, and any other law, with a word about criminal action if necessary. So you're not tying it to it, but you're just broadening it as far as possible.
No, that's fine. Remember, honorable members, what we said earlier on. We are not going to adjudicate what you are saying. But as you do this, please submit in writing, because if necessary, we will put, this is the view, this is the view. If there are 5 views, we'll put them and members will do. We're not going to adjudicate, but we take your point, we'll add that. Please assist us unless Cindy hasn't got it. If she's got it, it's fine. If she hasn't got it, she'll nudge me and I'll ask you to assist if you want to do that. Mokwena?
No, see, I'm covered by Honorable Swart.
Kubis?
I'm happy with what Honorable Swart has given, because I wanted to say where the sentence says where necessary, I was going to say in line with the law. So that is encompassing, because Honorable Fadam gave PFMA, but there are other pieces of legislation that must be factored into this.
All right. On the same point. Yes, sir? And then you'll be the last one, Singh.
Chair, Honourable Swart raises a good point about the fact that emphasising criminal action. And just to read out 86.2 of the PFMA states the following. An accounting authority is guilty of an offence and liable on conviction to a fine or to imprisonment for a period not exceeding 5 years if that accounting authority willfully or in a grossly negligent way failed to comply with the provisions of section 50, 51 or 55. So I think emphasising that as according to Honourable Swart would, I think, strengthen our case.
That's fair enough. No, it'll be in line with provisions of existing legislation. I'm saying that's fine. So it's not, I'm saying we might, when we argue on Tuesday, we might not want to be explicit as that, or we will be explicit, but we will put them all in there, because we also must not be, what do you call those things when you, tautology, or what is that type? Yeah. That's the point that I'm making. Yes, sir. 16.
That's what I was going to say. 1413 is tautology. I agree with Honorable Chowka. But then I don't know how we dealt with the issue of employees, because it shouldn't be anyone.
No, we did. We fixed up that one in the
You
front.
fix that up,
Yes.
okay. And then, all right, because we talk about accounting authority and we talk about interim board, so we just have to, like in the next one, we've got the accounting authority.
Yeah,
like it's a
we
different-
remember earlier on we said that we will have something that says accounting authority equals to board in our glossary. So wherever we've got accounting authority, I will be specific, we'll say the SABC board. And we'll also say when we say SABC board, it means this is the board because there have been 1,000 boards in the interim. So we'll try and fix that up so that people are clear that when we say SABC board, which period are we looking at specifically? So we will fix that up. Does that deal with 1413? Yes? 1414, filling up of vacancies, specifically in finance and in HR. And that is taken directly from yeah, okay, let me not say anything, but we're recommending that the new authority must urgently fill vacancies in critical management posts specifically related to finance and HR, and it doesn't exclude everything else. Don't come and say to me, but put anything else in, please, because we are saying these are steps that must be taken tomorrow. Let's take Kubisi. Please remember the order. It's Kubisi, it is Waters, it is Singh, Mukwena, Chauke, and Van Dam, in that order.
Yeah,
Kubisi.
thanks, Chair. I have a feeling that before we come to this point, there is a very important point of the accounting authority ensuring that the lines of reporting are clear. Because to me, that one comes first, even before you deal with this issue of positions or vacancies. So there is a point on the lines of communication. It has been a feature within the SABC that you wouldn't know who the group COO is and who is doing what. For me, that comes first. I don't know how we can put it in here.
There's a suggestion that we put in a line that emphasizes the reporting lines, if I'm trying to understand what Kubisi is saying. I thought the argument earlier on, I don't know, somebody here said, but there's an HR policy and all. I thought those would clarify it. It was not that there was no legislation. It was that legislation and or policies were not applied with. I was not complied with. I thought that was the argument we made earlier on. Because if we're saying that the lines must be clarified, we're almost assuming that there were no lines. I think there were reporting lines, they just were fudged. There were, isn't it?
I understand, Chair, they were deliberately ignored. Now, the point that I want to bring in, how does the board assist us in ensure that they are not ignored? But I'm with you there that, I mean, that is covered within the legislation, but it was deliberately ignored.
Okay, so altering it slightly, you're just saying that the board must ensure that HR policies must be complied with. That's what you're saying. Can we live with that? I mean, of course, somebody else is going to then turn around. Let's just say that, yeah, okay, on this point is specific. The board must ensure that HR policies are complied with. Maybe you'll come and say supply chain management policies, somebody else's. That is why I'm just saying that let's not micromanage these people, man. These are professionals. Why do we want to micromanage them? Why do we? I'm saying, you see, and I'm saying, I'm saying let's not run the danger of trying to be over-prescriptive as if, look, honorable members, first of all, somebody said the board must be inducted. Induction will include all those things. Why do we then want to say after being inducted, I'm just appealing that let us not overstretch ourselves. Let us just not, if they are inducted, I'm assuming that a proper induction includes their responsibilities, it includes all these type of things. That's what I'm appealing for. But if members want us to to zoom into detail, let's do that. And I'm sure the National Assembly will apply their mind. Let me go back. Kubisi is saying he's suggesting we put an extra recommendation that says the incoming board, interim, and the permanent board must ensure that HR policies are complied with. That's what Kubisi is putting on the table. Do we have a problem if we add that? A problem, not support, a problem. No, I'm just asking for those that have a different view so that we can get a sense. Just these three hands here in front, we'll go this way.
Thanks, Chair. I'm a little bit wary of saying HR policies because we know that these policies at the SABC were changed and made to favor certain people. So I'm a little bit wary of saying SABC HR policies. Can we not then say that in line with national labor legislation?
Yeah, on that point, because they were tampered with, I would say that HR policies be re-looked at, I don't know what the word is, restructured, whatever. Yeah, I think so. But also, just in conjunction with what Dr. Kozo was talking about earlier on, I think, Chair, we do need a preamble, a problem statement that states the gravity of the situation.
There is a problem statement that we agreed upon last week.
Yeah.
Last night we agreed on it.
No, I mean, no. No. There's a problem statement at the beginning of the document that says what the issues are. But here, I think to then, after our observations, to state...
Protect.
But can people not say no, before I...
Go back.
No, to speak about the gravity of the problem. Because we state that there are issues about this and that and that and that. But we don't state the fact, so that when we go to, for instance, the HR issue, it's a complete overhaul. And there's a difference between just looking at HR policies and completely overhauling. And I think that's the preamble that I think should go before these recommendations.
Kubisa, I think you were next, eh? Waters, Singh. No, Waters didn't speak, it's Kubisi, Waters.
Yeah.
Masangu, Chauke, and Van Dam will be the last one in that order. Oh, you want to speak as well? You want to speak as well, Oliwe? I'm always ignoring you.
No, Chair.
That's why I kept on asking, does anybody want to speak? But if we continue raising after somebody has spoken, we're not going to finish this thing. And I have no problem, honorable members. I really don't have a problem if we stay here the whole weekend. And that's why I asked who wants to speak. Again, let me reiterate, you're going to have a second bite at the cherry on Tuesday. So after Van Dam will be Swartz, and then it will be Loliwe, and then it will be Killian. We are on the point that
I put on the table.
the point that says that we must have. Are we done with the HR? We're done with the HR, right?
Yeah, I think, Chair, we are done because Honorable Van Dam had to come with an addition, and we accepted it. And yeah, I think we're covered on that one.
No. Okay, that deals with 1414. That's what we're saying. Are we happy with 1414? Does anybody else want to talk on 1414? You want to? 1414. No, I want to get clarity. Are we talking on 1414? All right. Because we are now very confused, all of us. Let's start at the back for. Oh no. Oh, it's fine. We're talking on 1414. We'll start here. In other words, Van Dam, Waters, go that way, come down this way, go that way, end up with Mahlangu. Again, we're spending 1 minute, and if somebody has said it, please say I'm covered. You don't have to read it. 1414.
I don't recall whether we agreed on 14.1.2 to include irregular labor appointments. If not, can we include that there? And the reason I'm saying this is because we keep getting reports from members of the public and people at the SABC that Mr. Motswaneng continues to run the SABC from the grave because he has a group of people, his friends and enforcers that he's appointed to positions. So can we say, and also with appointing people to vacant positions, can they also investigate all irregular appointments if it's not part of the forensic investigation?
Chair, I thought so too. All the appointments and dismissals. I've talked about that. Yes. Yes.
No?
Yeah.
Okay. And
I'm covered.
you covered too. Loliwe?
Chair, I thought we were at the tail end of 14.14 because Honorable Van Damme said, let's rather than talking to human resource policies, talk to national labor legislation. I agree with that. And also I want to caution us, let us not try and determine roles and responsibilities for the coming board because there are pieces of legislation that guide that. When with us, we want to put everything in the basket as if we are starting law afresh. There are pieces of legislation. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks for having my back. That's why I was saying, let's not be a super committee and assume that other people wouldn't think like we're thinking. So let us just give them kombandlela, and there's oversight bodies that will do the necessary oversight. All right, let's not be prescriptive. Singh.
Thank you, Chair. On HR, but it can be a new point if you think. On HR here, we're looking at these positions that need to be filled, management. But what about an investigation into irregular appointments and dismissal of people? Because evidence emerged that there were people appointed just willy-nilly and people were dismissed because they didn't like A, B, and C. I think this board needs to initiate a process to look into that aspect and see how it's corrected under HR. Thanks.
Yep. I think that was covered under Waters' suggestion on 4.12. Remember we said PP, HR, and AG. The forensic would assume that it will do irregular and everything else. I thought, but the point is taken. The point is taken. We had then decided we'll come down from your side, ma'am, Killian, on 14.14. And my daughter, where I come from, they say, even if you haven't spoken, you are still a man. Don't be forced to speak if you don't want to speak. Ne? Or a woman, by the way, yeah. Even if you haven't spoken, you're still a human being. Don't speak for speaking's sake. Killian, I apologize for being sexist, sorry.
No.
I apologize.
Chairperson, I just wanted to back you on this matter that we are going into extreme detail. I mean, the basic point of departure of the interim board is to stabilize and regularize, and including taking the necessary steps in terms of existing legislation. The minute that we start going into the detail, what about this, what about that, what about that? So I really want to caution members, the poor interim board is going to come in, and they will stay there for 6 months only. They may not stay there for any longer. What is achievable? I mean, the previous interim board of Irene Charnley, she virtually slept there, and she brought about a fantastic plan, which was not implemented. But the point that I'm just making is, let us rather refrain from adding and adding and adding further to just limit their responsibility to stabilizing and regularizing. And then, taking the necessary steps, including conduct investigations and follow through on where criminal conduct is evident. Can we do something like that?
Thank you very much, Chair. My approach of your Chair on 14.14, it's informed by our own assessment, the fact that the accounting authority has collapsed, executive authority has collapsed. Therefore, priority becomes your key appointments. And your key appointments in that regard, Chair, your CEO, your CFO, your COO, which are critical positions for you to be able to implement. You can talk all your policies and what, but these are the drivers who must make sure that systems are put in place, there's adherence to the policies and all of that. Without them currently acting positions, therefore, my proposal is that we put this as a key priority, that the board, the interim board, moving into that space, focus on this particular appointment of the people. Then you will then have a balance in the process. By the time you appoint the board, the permanent board, by that time you now have your CEO, your CFO, and your COO in place, and that must be the mandate that we give to the interim board to start that process.
No, Swartz. No. Yeah, but I'm saying to you, please don't shout at us. You were after Kubisi, and people will raise it. I'm just trying to put us in the right direction. We will find the way. All I'm saying is, are you saying we must take this and put that out? If you say yes, Swartz will come tomorrow and say, but it is there or something like that. But I don't want somebody to co-chair with me. Is that all right? Nobody's going to co-chair with me. Can we have Kubisi? No, it's Kubisi, Waters, and then Singh, and then who was him? Mokoena. Eh? Beg your pardon. Yes, we were just going around. Yes, Singh was done. It'll be you, and we'll come down that way. I'm sorry. Yes.
So, Chairperson.
Doesn't matter. Start Kubisi and then you'll come in Mokoena.
Okay, Chairperson, I think for me 14.14 must be left as it is because it speaks to what we want to happen within the SABC, what the board should do, because we cannot speak on all minute details. I think this point covers what we want the board to do. And there's a point that was raised from the beginning by many members here that begins to say we have to be objective and as constructive as possible, because it doesn't mean there was not even work within the SABC. There has been work. It's only that these critical positions, as Honorable Chauga is alluding to, have got to be filled. So I would go with the idea that 14.14 be left as it is.
Yeah, no, Chair, please bear with me. I think I agree with Honorable Kilan that we must condense the entire 14.1.1 up until 14.1.4 into one, so that it reads something like an ad hoc committee, an interim SABC board must be instituted and so on and so forth for the purpose of stabilizing and regularizing, right? Also taking legal action and so on and so forth under the specific things, human resources, financial management, irregular, whatever, all of that. So that becomes one thing that doesn't become too prescriptive, right? So if we condense all of that into one, and we collapse it, and then the next point becomes the appointment and removal of the SABC board and its members must be in compliance, and then we move on to the next thing.
There's another proposal, and Mr. Swartz, followed by Mathango, and we'll end up with Honorable Koza. Mr. Swartz.
Chair, 14.4.3 reads, the appointment of permanent staff to all senior management posts, including that of the GCEO, COO...
Sorry, that's 14.4.3.
4.3. I suggest that clause, as Mr. Chauke says, comes into 14.1.4, which will assist. We need to read those two together because it's a duplication. Chair, I didn't mean any disrespect to you, but it would have been helpful, you understand, because we spent 20 minutes discussing something, and so we need to help one another. I mean no disrespect to you, but maybe how does one interrupt you then when there's a valid point without being disrespectful to you? That's the only point I want to make. So, Chair, but I have got a problem with us, a principal problem with us telling an interim board they must finalize this within 6 months. You see, that's another major problem. We will hear that was the whole problem with the appointment of the CEO when the minister came and said, Parliament is saying, put pressure on us, and the wrong people were applied. So we need to put a caveat in to say where possible. Otherwise, then it can go over to the new board. So we've got to be very careful. I agree with Ms. Killian that says, this poor interim board, how are they going to do all these permanent appointments? Yes, it's necessary. But we're only focusing then on financial management and human resource management. What about procurement? That's the key point, is procurement. So it's a challenge, Chair. The other issue, Chair, is the process, and you correctly pointed out, this process we're engaging with now, we're going to go on till 2-3 days as we are going now. We learn as we're going along. Should we not each prepare, or maybe we should have, but each prepare a written document on what we say it should be? Because as we're now going through each point, we're spending half an hour on each single point. Normally, one would come with a position and say, here's my document, this is my suggestions, I'm happy, here's my addition, discuss it, finished. But we've chosen another route, and it's useful to debate it, but each issue, you think and you raise more and more issues, and that's why we're taking so much time, as I have taken now. Thank you, Chair.
Rahang?
Chair, thank you. I think colleagues have already spoken to the things. All these things that we are trying to infuse here are better crafted, well thought out in existing documentation. So we're trying to rehash something, and we're actually not even meeting 50% of what is crafted. Actually, at one stage, I felt we must switch off go offline so that we can talk to ourselves, because in the manner in which we're trying to do is really trying to over-micromanage a matter. Look, these people are not full-time in office. The interim board, they can only meet perhaps how many times during their tenure of 6 months? Perhaps 2 times. All these things that we expect them to do are close to impossible. So let's reflect on the matters, and I can't agree more with those colleagues who said, make submissions. I have crafted my submissions, and I think, I'm not sure whether Cindy has received it, because in that way, we will give them substance that they can work on and bring it back to us as a worked out document. We can then thresh it out. Remember, we are still working from a source document. The things that we've been discussing yesterday, quite important observations. I mean, whatever we were doing, not observations, but the work that has not been fused into what we're doing. So there's a lot of work that we've done. Let's craft documentation, submit it to our Cindy, let them look at what we are having, synthesize it, put it at wherever they deem it necessary, because now there are things that are appearing on 4.4, which are supposed to be on 4.1, others are on 4.1, personnel would want them at 4.4. But if you present a report that has been, where we've made submissions and they are feeding us back, we can actually find our footing even better to engage. But I'm saying the things that we're trying to put here, they are nicely crafted. The things that we're talking, political things, inductions, training, all those things that we're saying are nicely crafted in documentation, nicely printed. But I guess, yeah, that's where we are. But we can do better, Chair.
Chair, thank you very much. Just to pick on what Honorable Swart and Honorable Mahlangu were saying. Chair, I thought that when we come to recommendations, we would be crafting them such that they speak to the observations that we had made. Having said that, Chair, specifically on 14.1.4, I wanted to appeal to the committee so that we align our own observations with our recommendations. I wanted to propose a sub clause under that specific clause under 14.1.4. And that clause is that the interim board should, amongst other critical assignments, seek to stabilize and regularize the historical and current HR environment. And the reason why I'm talking about stabilizing and regularizing the HR environment, historical and the current, at SABC, you actually have a lot of challenges with the staff that are extremely demotivated. Some of them are really hurt. And we heard what the witnesses were saying before us here. Some of the people are actually sitting at home. They were working in procurement and they were perched. And as a result, they are not employable, because if you've been working in the procurement section, they want your previous employer's reference. And when you have that situation, the chances of you being employable again are not going to be there. But we don't want to be prescriptive to the interim board, but they must, within their own creativity and what in view, seek to stabilize and regularize the HR environment so that it is consistent with a growing organization, a highly competitive organization, a profitable organization, and so forth and so forth. And that would be my recommendation under 14.14. Thank you, Chair.
All right, let's try and understand where we're at, honorable members. I think there's consensus that on the 24th, we want to be in a position to have a draft document. I think there's understanding. So if we work back from the 24th, this document we had given to members on the 15th, and we thought that members would have gone to apply their mind, come with almost perfected positions. That was the intention, I thought. What Honorable Swartz and Honorable Mahlangu and Honorable Khoza is now saying to us is that, and we just assumed this is what members were going to be doing when we said go and consult. You come with your positions. If we went that route, and I have no problem, are you suggesting to us, and I'm looking at Honorable Mahlangu because you guys must give us direction, are you saying to us that we must release you, you will give us submissions so that we are in a position to give you back a paper with all the submissions so that you are ready to discuss them on Tuesday? And I'm just putting these scenarios to the table because people are almost saying, let us make submissions, and I have no problem. But understand, honorable members, that this thing has one, logistical and also credibility. We could do that and say, everybody give us a submission, or parties or rows, or whoever you are, give us those submissions. We will consolidate those submissions, give it to you, and then we debate them, because that seems to be the suggestion that's coming out on the one hand. Going this route, honorable members are saying, is going to take forever, and we can learn. All I'm saying is, whichever route we take, understand it has implications both on how we prepare the document for you, how well prepared you are to engage on Tuesday, and the time frames, because we do not have the liberty of changing the time frames, honorable members. We don't have the liberty of changing the time frames. And we've worked it out in such a fashion that there is absolutely no space anymore. We don't have any space. In other words, we don't have fetch for 2 weeks or something like that. Unfortunately, this is where we're at. So when you make proposals going forward, bear in mind the 28th is our deadline. Bear in mind, we've got a 2-week period to give people for comment. Bear in mind, we're going to need at least 2 days to deliberate on the final product. And bear in mind that we're going to have to deliberate on this one before we send it out. So I'm saying those are the milestones. I want a view from this House. Where to from here? And we will start, everybody must discuss this one, because it's our responsibility. Everybody must discuss this one. Yeah, we'll start by you, it's fine. All I'm asking you is answer those questions, honorable members. 15th, 2 weeks, 28th. And today is Friday. Between Friday and Tuesday, somebody must put all these things together. So take all those things into consideration. The question is how. We're going to start with Mokwena, we'll go up to Kubise, we'll go to, at the back to Kosa, come this way, then we'll start with you, Waters, and we'll end with you. The question just is how. That's all the question that we're asking. Let's start with you, sir. And everybody's got 1 minute.
No, Chair, look, I think I agree that the process we're engaging in now is going to be too long. So what I'm suggesting is that, but I do think that it's important that we all hear what the collective is saying, right? So my suggestion is that we go back to the process that we embarked on in this morning, in the morning session, that we give each and every member 5 minutes to make all their recommendations, right? So that we all hear what each one of us is saying. You will then look at all our recommendations and compile them as per your headings. And then that is the document that we will then look at on the 24th. But we would have heard each and every one of our views and developed an attitude towards it.
Chair, from my side, I would say we continue as well, continue clause by clause, because we're together here. And if there is any submission you want to make, it's fine, but let us not deprive ourselves of the opportunity of speaking to one another. And yeah, I think that will assist us, that we continue with the time that we have until we close late at night.
Chair, I concur with Honorable Mokwena. I honestly think that given the fact that we are coming from different perspectives, ideological orientation, interpretation, different interpretation of the evidence that came before us, I think it would be wise if we are each given a stipulated amount of time, say 5 minutes or something like that, and we comment on these recommendations, or maybe if we have new recommendations that we are putting forward, we then put them forward. That way we will be saving time, but at the same time, nobody will leave here feeling excluded or feeling that their own views or concerns were not taken into account, because they would have had an opportunity to comment on the recommendations as a whole. That would be, therefore, I align myself with Honorable Mokwena.
Chair, thank you. I agree that the proposal by colleague Mokwena is actually the best under the circumstances. That we have time, well, whether it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever time, but give members sufficient time to reflect on a range of matters that they would want to. And I've already made my submissions, and out of that, they can look. Remember, the staff that must work these things, they are not machines. For them to listen to us, it's abuse. Not in the negative way, but I mean, we really clogging their system, and they still have to rework these things. They are not supposed to be employed for night duties and over the weekend. Yeah, but I guess I'm supporting Umkwena in what he was saying, and we are ready to take it, Chair.
Okay, let's start by seeing what proposals are you putting. We'll come down, Loli, we will come this way and we'll end with you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm putting proposals to the entire recommendations, 4 broad proposals in principle.
Before you put the proposals, we're saying
you're
what
still
work
talking
method.
about? No, I agree that we proceed.
Line by line or paragraph, I mean chapter by chapter?
No,
The
we
10-minute one.
Yeah.
The 10-minute
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
whatever the
Like
time
this
is, but we're
morning,
saying the
yeah,
10-minute
yeah,
one.
yeah.
That's fine. Loliwe, what is your proposal, ma'am?
Chair, I'm worried because we adopt an approach and in the middle we want to change the approach. Where I'm seated, if we say we give each other 10 minutes, it's gonna bog down to what we are doing now. Because we would want to reflect on what somebody else has said on a particular clause. Remember, this is the crucial part of the work that we are doing. And there should be no instance where we said, on Monday, I never knew that this is captured in this particular fashion. For me, let us be business-like as we make our inputs. But to me, this clause by clause thing is making our work authentic. Because if we take an umbrella, it means we'll take the whole day. But Chair, what you said initially, that you only speak when you want to. It's not a matter of for every clause you say everybody have a bite, everybody have a bite. There may be people who don't want to speak in other clauses. So let's create that space. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Chair. I agree with Honourable Loliwe. The work we're doing here is work of national importance. It's about fixing a multi-million state-owned company that is steeped in deep rot. The most important bit of our work is the recommendations. We cannot absolutely rush them. We need to sit down, we need to be considered, we need to go through it clause by clause, we need to debate every recommendation in public like we have done for the rest of the inquiry. If these recommendations are weak, if these recommendations are not carefully considered, our entire work will mean nothing. This is part of the reason why we said yesterday, let's work through the night, because we knew that every single clause will take a lot of debate. So my suggestion, clause by clause, if we have to sit over the weekend, so be it. We are public servants and we're not only paid to work during the week, also on weekends.
Chair, I don't understand the logic. We've spent days here going through clause by clause and other chapters, but when it comes to the crux of the matter, the most important chapter, the recommendations, we now want to, combine everything, consolidate, and not brush over, but not give it its due deserves that it does deserve. And this document's credibility is going to rest on the recommendations and how we interrogate those recommendations. And so, we've known from people, when we go back to our constituencies, the amount of interest that is in this particular issue. We know that. I think we're all actually taken aback that so many people are watching us on TV. And the fact is, given, smile, given that importance, we owe it to the public to interrogate each one of these recommendations one by one. Thank you.
No, thank you, Chair. I don't know what informs the point that the colleagues are now saying, our shame to the interim board, shame poor people. Shame, I don't know what informs that. The fact is that this process, Chair, we have started it very well. And I don't know why we have to divert from what we have started. No. The fact is that if it's a question of time, I think we need just to agree that if a colleague feels that maybe 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock must be finished, but agree on a process that if we have not completed this recommendation, what must happen? Either colleagues can be given an opportunity to communicate their views, in fact, if they want to make further inputs. As they stand for now, there's nothing wrong with this recommendation so far. What we're already doing, we're beginning to identify what is short-term and what is long-term. Short-term, we're saying that these are meant for the interim board to go and implement as a matter of agent. And that process was moving very well. Then from there, we can then identify what is long-term. We can, it's on Tuesday, Chair. the model that we must take is that let's continue until we get tired and said, now we are tired, therefore the process that will then have to unfold is the following, which will be to give what you call inputs there. Then because we have capacity, Chair, because you are able to produce this work, we can never underestimate your capacity that you have produced this work. We can even task you again to further go and reinforce these recommendations as they stand here. There's nothing wrong with that.
Chairperson, thank you. I find it very interesting that we have differing of opinions just about the process, because this is what it is. I think we all are committed to concluding the work and responsibility with absolute commitment and with seriousness. So I think it's more about the process. How will we achieve the best outcome and have recommendations that are practical and implementable and in line with our mandate? So I would be very circumspect to criticize anybody who has a different idea. I think we started this morning in the observations, and we realized we're going nowhere. And then we came back and we looked at the different aspects, and we came up with very valuable contributions. I believe we can do the same with the recommendations. If we categorize the recommendations, and we actually base these recommendations on our observations, we could do the same. The board, the interim board, ultimately the final board. You see, the problem that I see is that we wanted to tell the interim board all the details of what policies must be reviewed, etc. And that doesn't fly. We must say to the interim board must have an immediate interventionist approach and must stabilize. And thereafter, the rest, there's a new board. And the interim board has 6 months to operate. I pity them because I know how hard the previous interim board worked. So that is why I'm not, I'm not saying that they will not be good enough to do it. I'm just saying, don't overload and don't expect too much. My suggestion would be that we actually look at the heading the board, that we see what is it that we think the interim board must do, and then ultimately the other board that must be appointed, and then look at the role of the shareholder. What can we recommend for a strengthening and improvement there? Look at the legal status and governance aspect. Look at the corporate governance issues. And so my suggestion is that we don't go into the semantics of every sub-phrase, but that we look, does it capture, and is it implementable? Otherwise, Parliament is used to taking unimplementable resolutions. And what happens? Nothing. How many times have committees not recommended to Parliament? So I'm suggesting that we are going to be serious if we do it in this way. Thank you, Chair.
Is T now? All right, no, it's T now. No, we were, yeah, because I think maybe we need a, whatever the case might be. Honourable members, I mean, what is not negotiable is that we can never skirt what we do. We can't skirt what we're doing, and we won't allow it. What is also not negotiable is that the 28th is the deadline, and therefore we work backwards. And if we want to meet on the 15th, it means that sometime between, not the 15th, the 24th, sometime between now and the 24th, you guys are going to have to give us reasonable time to compare this document. You need to understand that you're going to give us reasonable time to compile this document. So you take a day away from it. You need a day to prepare. So we have no option but to finish this thing in the next 24 hours. We have no option but to finish this thing in the next 24 hours. Aslal namhlanje. Aglalo. All right. No, it's fine. We will work, because otherwise don't expect a product that is going to be defendable, credible, and whatever the case might be. People will leave tomorrow morning if they must leave tomorrow morning. That's fine. We will come back after tea. We will come back after tea, having refreshed ourselves, preparing. I'm sure you'll prepare supper. I'm just so sorry because remember, we're putting unnecessary pressure on people that don't have to be working after hours. But they will bear with us. We will have tea. We will come back. We will go back to the board. 14.1. We will try and deal with 14.1. Everybody, again, and again we're saying, if this thing satisfies you 99%, honorable members, then let's agree that it satisfies us 99%, but who, why, and those type of things, it's not our responsibility. That's the board's responsibility. There are 4 or 5 that we can say on these ones, this one point is the key point. For instance, the appointment of the board or something, but we were almost trying to work out the job description of these people. That's not our responsibility. So I'm just saying, as we go and have lunch, tea, let's just think of what we want to do. But we're going to go back to close 1, the board. We'll go to stakeholder, we'll go to all those other ones and try and do as best a job possible, but we're going to complete it tonight. We're going to complete it tonight. That's fine. We will resume at 4 o'clock. Tea, isn't it? The tea is ready? Yeah, tea is normally 15 minutes. I'm giving you 20 minutes for tea. You'll come back and we're going to, and again we can learn as we go along. There's no problem with us learning as we go along. But the end product must be credible. We will come back, close 1, and you will talk on the board. And then you'll talk on the shareholder, and then you'll talk on everything else. No, it's fine. No, it's fine. So, Siabuya go 4. Sharp.